Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? Starting you off with some new music tonight. Yeah.
I've been feeling so good in this city, even though I've been doing bad. No, I've been doing what I should. I've been doing what I
Come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome. Let our friends and fam know that we are on. We want to share. I'm going to share. You're going to share. I love this song. This is JV. And we are going to be talking about him tonight as well, because we have a special guest tonight. I'm going to be sharing this to my own Facebook page. How about you? Welcome to Victory Speaks. It's an inspired conversation. Now, I'm just going to say, Facebook, if you're listening, I don't have the rights for this music, but I'm with his mom and I have permission to play the music. I'm just saying.
I'm so at peace right now. And I've been riding like a beast.
So tonight, you know, I love this song so much. I could get lost in it and almost forget that I'm supposed to be doing an interview right now, because it brings me so at peace right now. JV, I'm going to put you on pause because we're going to be probably playing a little bit of your music tonight. And tonight, how you doing? How's everybody doing tonight? It's Monday. It's Momentum Monday. It is Magnificent Monday. It can even be Moody Monday. Tonight, I am that host. I want to speak victory into your life as I speak victory into mine. It's inspired conversation time, y'all. And I'm on a mission to share inspired conversations because I have them all the time. I have them with my friends, with my families. I even have them with people I just meet. And, you know, sometimes we have inspiring conversations that are good. Some can be bad. Some can be sad. But you just have to find the opportunities in the crisis. You got to find the blessings in the storm. And I just wanted to share that with you. So this is why I started this part of my podcast. And because you can listen to my audio podcast. And you know what? We're going to even shift some of this onto the audio platform. And Victory Speaks. You can pick it up on Google Podcasts. And, you know, there are times we just have conversations where it's just like for like a few minutes and, you know, just really speaking life into you and love into you and peace into you. But tonight, this is the part where we do the interviews, and we're going to be doing some more interviews coming into the new year. So I hope you are getting your snacks, you're getting your water. Listen, and we're going to toast tonight. We're going to toast tonight because it's Christmas. You know, I got my glass of sorrel here. I even made sure it had my little N on it. I don't know if you can see the N, but the N is right there. Yeah, my signature glass. I don't have any black cake. I wish somebody had sent me some black cake, but I don't have any because, you know, I'm Caribbean and I'm a Trini to the bone. And so today, you know, the woman that I'm going to have on today, she was, you know, so inspirational in me starting this podcast. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have actually done it. And she has helped me build this platform. She has helped me get the words right, get my formation right. And when I was feeling low, she was my high. You know, in our lives, we all need an iron sharpener. And she is the one of the key women that sharpens me in my life. This woman is an award-winning motivational speaker. She's a corporate trainer. She's a life skills coach. She has worked for the Toronto District School Board. She has worked internationally. She has spoken to women on teenage pregnancies and and talking to youth about making positive choices. She's a miracle woman, because when you hear what she's been through and how she has transformed her pain into power, get your pen and pencils ready. Get your notepads ready, because there's going to be some nuggets tonight. I know that for a fact, because sometimes I literally say, hold on, Coco, I need to get my phone. I need to put on my memo and I need to start recording, because you're speaking life into me right now. She speaks to women, she speaks to men. She just builds up our community on such high levels. And she's humble. You know, I said, Coco, send me your bio. Girlfriend sent me the simple bio. I'm like, I need the punchers. So I'm gonna have to punch her up. But for those who know her, you know she is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, always pouring in and never taking, always giving. So tonight, welcome to the Victory Speaks show, Coco LaRain Viera. Woo! Woo, woo. Let me make sure I unmute your mic. Good, we're good. You know what? I needed to do some. I think I should have made sure that I get my applause thing happening. I'm gonna have to get my sound effects working so that we can really just build you in here. But if you're on the live here, just show her some love. And Coco, welcome.
Well, thank you, Nicole Waldron. I love you so much, my sister. And what a beautiful intro. I appreciate you so much.
And so do I. And so do I. And how you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, and it took a lot to say that, because in order to be great, you got to do the work, internal work. I haven't been great for a long time, but I'm happy to be great again, in my heart, and authentically doing better than ever. Or not, well, I shouldn't say better than ever, but I'm doing better than I have been. So.
I mean, you know what? I like that too, because I ask everybody how they're doing, because for so many times in our lives, we ask people how they're doing, and then they just kind of float by the question and never really tell us the truth. And so you always have to pause and listen to what they say and what they don't say. So thank you for sharing your truth tonight. So let's dive in, because, you know, I don't know where this conversation is going to take us, because, you know, Coco is all that on a bag of chips and then some. So,
yes.
Victory. You know, the show is Victory Speaks. And what does victory look like to you? What does victory mean to you in living a victorious lifestyle?
Yes. Well, you know, I go by Coco now, but that's just because I felt like I had too many names. My given name is Nicole. So you and I have been Nicole and Nicole for so long. And I proudly say that name, but just for branding's sake, you know, Nicole Coco LaRain Viera was just too long, and, you know, 2 L's in my name and an extra E before the I in the Viera, and LaRain. So I was like, you know what, let me just make it simple. And it still isn't. So my name means victory of the people. That's what Nicole stands for. And actually, that's how we met, right?
Yes, because of that. I remember.
Yeah, we were in church, and you came up to me. I think you were hugging me. I was going through something. I was sitting in the front row. I think we had a guest speaker there. And then you said, "Do you know what your name means, Nicole?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And didn't you give me a little, little piece of paper that had victory on? Nicole means victory, and you were surprised that I knew what it meant. And then we have been friends ever since. So victory means that you keep going no matter what, right? Because there's connotations to that word, right? And it is because there's battles that you're not, you know, you can't be victory over. I have victory over winning a game, you know. You know, it's a process. Victory is a mindset that we carry with us, which is why I love what you do to have a victorious lifestyle. To live a victorious lifestyle means that your mind is focused on victory, that you believe you're going to overcome something. And so that's it in a nutshell. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's a movement. It's a thought. It's a gift. It's a process.
And so when you think of living that victorious lifestyle, if you were to picture it and picture the victory, what would that look like to you?
Mm. Well, I think it's the journey. Like I love your symbol, the butterfly. I love the journey of the butterfly, right?
Come on now, talk about it.
So when you think about the butterfly, the caterpillar going into the cocoon and the caterpillar turning into soup, caterpillar soup, where the body just disintegrates in a way, or and becomes protein. And there's these imaginal discs inside the caterpillar body that are actually the butterfly body, and the caterpillar body that became caterpillar soup, so to speak, is the protein that divides those cells, that are in that imaginal disc, into the butterfly body. So there's this surrendering that the butterfly has to go through. And I just picture this butterfly, this caterpillar, in this cocoon. I think if it was me, I would be terrified. And what's this thing coming over my mouth? And am I sleeping or whatever And then really the willingness to go through that change and transformation. Then the butterfly awakens. It's inside this cocoon. It has to fight out of itself. It's got to kick its way out of this cocoon. And then it's hanging upside down from a tree and it's all wet. And I don't even know if it ever really sees its wings. There's this whole process. And of course, we know how the butterfly wings get hard. Do you know how the butterfly wings? We've talked about this before.
Yes, but not many people know this. So you got to share.
So after the butterfly's, upside down on this leaf or whatever, where its cocoon was, it actually secretes meconium, which is basically crap, waste, but the kind that the new babies have that doesn't have a smell. It's when you have a baby, little black little, chunky poo poo, and so it spreads that over its wings to harden it so that it can fly. And so, I always say to people, if you're going through a whole lot of crap, congratulations, you're about to take off.
Yay!
Life is full of it. So it's the good, it's the bad, it's the surrendering to the process. And so the picture for me is the butterfly, because it is absolutely victorious and it goes through a lot, especially the butterflies that are in Canada that fly all the way to Florida. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think the butterfly is the perfect picture for the word victory, because it's constantly going, and it's not this perfect, process. It's a very messy one, and an ugly one, and a scary one, and you got to shed off, some things have to be melted, and you have to believe. It was very interesting when I looked at this information. Why would they call the cells inside the caterpillar body imaginal discs? When you're going through a transformation, you have to have this imagination of who you think you want to be, the best version of you, right? So the best version of you is imaginal when you don't feel like you have accomplished your goals, when you're just starting a business. That's those imaginal discs, and you have to let things go, and you have to pour into that business, and you have to go through the struggle in order to become that. And so that your imagination plays a huge role in making sure that you become victorious, that you become the entrepreneur that you're dreaming of, and imagining. So I was really happy to read about that process, and recognize I can see the stages, right? The first stage, you're born, you're eating, and then you go to the cocoon, and then you have to, harden your wings, and then you flying, and even the flight to Florida must be challenging as well. So just because you quote unquote made or had some victory doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you're not going to face other things, which is why victory is a lifestyle.
And I you know me, I love the butterfly. Everything around me is butterflies. Is like butterfly. There's even butterflies in my Christmas tree. I mean, like there's just butterflies all around me. And it's that process. And I never understood why I love butterflies until I think meeting you, how much of how much I enjoy it. But I always loved butterflies as a kid because I would catch caterpillars in Trinidad and have them in the little bottles, and then you'd put the little stick in the bottle and then wait for them to turn into cocoon, and then when they became a butterfly, you release them. So it was something I always loved, was butterflies. And then when you talked about the disc, what is it called again? The
Imaginal disc.
imaginal disc. So what came to me then, and I never thought about this before. Now, people, I'm just telling you, this is how we flow. We have these conversations. Keep up, people. Keep up. Get your pen, paper. Put on your notepad. Get a recorder, because when I think of the imaginal disc, that happens in the cocoon, in darkness, just like when a photographer goes in the dark room to develop its pictures. This is blowing my mind. We're not even getting into you yet. We're starting to talk about transformation already. Like the process of transformation. People just look at the butterfly as this light thing that can just disappear. But when you think of the process from the caterpillar and what she looks like, and I'm going to call her a she today because it's all about us. And well, no, because we like him too, because it's all about all of us, because we have but when you look at the caterpillar, all these legs, and depending on what they look like, they can look kind of like bleh, and people dismiss them, they kick them aside, all these legs, and then they morph into just standing still. Oh my God, I'm preaching now. Nicole, Coco, it's standing still. It's standing still on the branch, looking inconspicuous, like it's doing nothing. Sometimes you're hidden and you don't know why you're hidden. And you've been hidden because you are being developed in what you need and in your process to walk in your purpose.
Yep. And we know that if someone comes along and opens up the cocoon for the butterfly will die. And so there's sometimes where we have to step in and we wonder why they don't, or why God hasn't stepped in. Why haven't you stepped in? Why haven't you? Based on what I've gone through in the last, year and a half, had I not gone through all the difficult things that I went through previously, I would not have been able to manage what I just went through. Mm-hmm. And so I was angry that I didn't get the help and the support that I wanted from certain people. Of course, my mother was there, but and my aunt was there. I had some people, but there was other people that I thought was going to do more. And I was like, can you not see that I'm stuck in this cocoon? Can you not see that I'm stuck in, why aren't you, and in my victim mode, mentality. But I made it through, and I became so much stronger because I had to go through what I went through last year. And I know we're going to get there about, I don't want to rush it. So yeah, I'm absolutely grateful now for, having to kick my way out of some of my, darkest moments inside that cocoon. And then I make a living using all of these challenges, to push people into victory, into a place of thriving. Yeah.
And it's so powerful. And now I'm just letting you know, guys, we're going to be talking more about victory as the weeks and the months go by. We're going to be doing shows together. Who knows, we might write that book together finally.
Yeah.
And we're on Clubhouse. And if you're not on Clubhouse, you better get on Clubhouse. We're going to be having some serious conversations on Clubhouse. We'll talk about that later. Ebony says you're being refined. Yes, when you're in that transformative stage, you're being refined, and you're building strength, and you're building resilience. And this is why the process of the butterfly in the cocoon stage is so important, because you alluded to that if somebody opened the cocoon, it would die because its legs didn't get strength. The rest of its body didn't get a chance to develop. And it's like that baby that comes out prematurely and doesn't have that person to nurture them, to get them out there. And then when I think of the butterfly, after it comes out, it doesn't always have to fly. Sometimes it just glides on the wings, like Patty. I like how Patty LaBelle would go. It just glides on the wings of the wind, on the currency Oh my God. I don't even know what's happening today. It glides on the currency of the wind.
I call that being in your flow.
Ooh.
You know, being in your flow, and you know when you are in your sweet spot, and flowing, you don't it can become effortless at some point.
Mhm.
You know, when yeah, and they say, people who make it big, right? They're overnight success, but there's no such thing as overnight, right? Because they've had this whole process that they went through year after year, this, that, the other, you know. And so, or if they're young when they meet that, their parents went through something.
Mhm.
There was always a process to get us to where, to where we belong. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
I'd
good.
just like to welcome everybody that's tuned in, whether you're live and on the replay. Thank you for joining us. This is a conversation about transforming pain into power. And this conversation is happening with two great friends. Coco was actually going to be my first guest that I was going to have on the podcast. But you know what? She's going to be the main squeeze as we end up ending the year. She's going to be taking us out with a bang tonight because we're going into Christmas this week, and then next week is New Year's. I don't know what's happening next week, Monday. So we'll see. There might be just a replay of the replay.
Mhm.
So Coco, when we talking about transforming your pain into power,
Yeah.
you are a miracle walking as far as I'm concerned. When I know your journey, how did you start becoming a speaker? Because some people may not even know that story.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I was 17 and pregnant, with my precious daughter. Shout out to Shemaya, aka DJ Aphrodite. And I was about to quit high school. But there were moments back then in my school when I would sit in my public health nurse's office and just talk to her, skipping math class with this big belly, and she'd give me milk coupons and things like that, and measure my tummy and make sure that I was safe. And they don't. It's a shame that they don't have nurses that have offices in schools anymore. But back in that time, they did. And I told her that I was, she saw my gift of gab. I told her that I was going to be quitting school. And she said, well, before you quit, or even if you do quit, we'd like you to be a part of a program called Positive Choices. I was like, it's a little late for that, don't you think? Hello. and I said, what is that all about? And it was this, the school board wanted them to put together a series of seminars or workshops or assemblies where we go from school to school and we talk about issues focusing on preventing pregnancy, teenage pregnancy prevention program, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought it would be a good idea to have somebody who had the experience to, encourage young people to make positive choices for themselves. And so I wasn't sure if I wanted to share my story. I loved the stage. I'd been singing as a child. I was acting a lot. But I was carrying a lot of shame at that time because teenage pregnancy wasn't easy during those days. Not that it ever is. But there was, outside of, like my mom and my aunt and, my brother, there wasn't a whole lot of support. And I'm grateful that I had that support, believe you me. And so anyway, I said yes to that opportunity. And I remember standing on the stage. It was Danforth Tech in downtown Toronto, the sort of the East York upper beaches. And I told my truth on that high school stage. I don't remember what I said or how I sounded or whether I made any sense, but I do remember the young people coming up to me and saying thank you. And that moment when I told my truth, when I told my story, and I shared that I made these mistakes, but there was a reason why. There was a root cause that it wasn't me. In that moment, that's when my pain started to transform into power because I found my purpose.
Right.
I no longer was just a statistic. I was no longer just ashamed of my situation that society at the time wanted me to be, but rather I was this empowered woman that was using my pain to empower other people, and in turn that empowered me. And then my so-called mistakes, having children is not a mistake. Ever.
Speak it again, man. It is not a mistake.
It's never a mistake, in my opinion, because people make choices that are good for them, Sometimes we make choices that are good for others, and that's the problem. But my mistakes, my quote unquote mistakes or so-called mistakes that people had labeled them as, became masterpieces. And when I say mistakes, I mean, was it just, having children at the wrong time, And so, it was really the moment, the shift, a transformation did happen on that stage. And I've been pretty much speaking ever since. That was almost 30 years ago.
I am blown away. I mean, like, yeah, you look 30. I'm just saying. Not to take away from your experience, but you look turning 30. But what gave you, because at that young age, to still, in the midst of all of that, in the midst of the hurt, in the midst of the pain, you still felt that you needed to share. Like, how did you get that boldness and that courage to just do that?
Well, I mean, I think I have to give my mom a lot of credit for that. She brought me to this beautiful church where we had street ministries. And I remember watching her on the stage sing and minister in church and lead choirs. And we would go out on the street and minister to homeless. And there was a program that we ran called Pioneer Girls and Boys Brigades, and we bought these 2 big school buses and a bunch of minivans, and the school buses were called Genesis and Exodus, and then the minivans were called Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and we would and I was a school bus monitor, or a van monitor, and we go into all the different areas in the city, Blake Boltby and all these different places, and where families were really struggling and in a lot of pain, and we would pick the kids up, bring them to church, play all kinds of games with them, and I was always a teacher's assistant, and we had great nursery programs, and we had an amazing youth pastor and his wife, and they taught us about ministering and that kind of thing. And so I had this whole childhood filled with recognizing the needs of others before yourself, and pouring into the community. And so I didn't know back then that they were raising such an activist, and a person that was concerned about the community more than the average person. And so I grew up in that environment. And my mom, who is a healing program facilitator right now in Emmaus Cares.
Shout out to mom. Shout out to mom.
Mom, Teresa, AAA. She taught me how to love other people, and how to care for other people. And so I guess that was just a part of my DNA. And so then when it came time for me, my dream was to grow up and become a minister and be an evangelist and preach on the stage that I wanted to do. When I got pregnant, I thought that dream had died. I knew that having my child was more important, and I would do whatever it takes to take care of the baby. So I was willing to throw away that idea and have them. And I've had 3 children, but but God works in mysterious ways, and I didn't become a pastor, but I am a motivational speaker. And
come on now, and you're the marketplace evangelist. Come on now.
My ministry might not have been at church, but it was in the same places where I ministered when I was a kid, which was where people who were hurting, who might not have access, who might be judged. And so I started going into homes for teen moms, and even though I was a young mom, and just sharing that love. So I had that beautiful foundation. I really feel like I lived a double life as a child, where I had this loving mother, aunt, grandma, and brothers. And then there was, these secrets of trauma and abuse that nobody knew about that was also hidden. Whereas I was a speaker and I loved the stage, I was also shy. Where people would say I was brilliant, but I'm also dyslexic and I have learning disability. So there's always this, this double life, where I was saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, and pregnant and having sex, and very lost in my world. And it's taken me a long time to bring back what abuse stole, so that I can be one person and not be double-minded and unstable in all my ways. That's part of the healing journey, right? Where you dissociate as a way to protect yourself, I've learned how to come back, bring my, my spirit and my mind and my body and my heart into a oneness so that I can show up in the world more powerfully. But I'm grateful that I said yes to that opportunity, because I don't know where I would be had I not found that purpose so young. I don't know where I'd be.
I commend you for the courage and the boldness. And you listened somewhere along the line. The inner voice in you was stronger than the noise. Despite the chaos, despite what was going on, there was something that was so deeply embedded in you. It was propelling you, and you knew that you had to do it. Because sometimes, as you said, we speak about the double life. Sometimes you come home and you're crying, but you're on stage and you're making everybody excited. People think that being a speaker or being a life coach is this life of glamour. They look at Oprah online, and look at Yana Van Zant, and they see the whatever, but they don't know that there is a process, and you have to go through some things to be able to speak to some things with integrity and with honor and with truth. And that's what you've been able to capture. And that's one of the reasons that I am so honored to be your friend, because I just watch you and you inspire me to be better, and you help me to be stronger, because you're such a reminder of what resilience can be, and you can make it. And I think that's what we have to be for each other.
Yeah.
That person that can just remind that other person, you know what? And it's not taking away from my pain to say that, you know what, your pain, and seeing how you're transforming it. It's that process. It really is that process. And so you're a young woman. You have your firstborn girl.
Yes.
And who's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, just like you. And you're going through life. And so you continue on this path. What is pushing you? What is propelling you? What is anchoring you?
These are really great questions. Thank you. And bringing me back to a place that I didn't expect to go. But I would say my children, well, first and foremost, our Creator was a huge anchor. And my Savior, my God. And I think that I had such a rich and beautiful imagination as a child that I was able to tap into the spiritual realm I didn't even understand fully. And so I say that, I became best friends with our Creator when I was 4 years old. And I used to play in my Bible and write words that made no sense in the back, and was actually pretending to preach. I had this little white Bible, and I would take my pencil, and I'm like, "And the Lord said that," and I was 4 and in French immersion, so I couldn't write anything in English. I only knew how to write in French because I went to French immersion school. But wow. I had that Bible for a long time. I don't know where it went now. And I would just be writing all these letters, and I was writing little sermons way back then. I haven't remembered that in so long. And so I think that was my major grounding was my faith, and this undying love of a Creator who saw me. And there's so many beautiful songs and music that there's one song, "You are my hiding place. You always fill my heart with songs of deliverance. Whenever I am afraid, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. Let the weak say I am strong with the strength of my love." It's one of my favorite songs. And so all these songs would come to me, just, God is my hiding place. And that kept me going. And then my children were, I would say, the most powerful anchors for me. No matter how hard it got, when I would hold them, kiss them, hug them, play with them, be silly with them, I felt my peace that passes all understanding. And so, yeah, those were, and then, I have a whole list. My friends, my mom, my aunt, humor, chocolate. What can I say about chocolate? I could say that chocolate has been.
Chocolate is, eat it.
Chocolate cookies.
Chocolate is
You
needed.
know, dollar store chocolate, like the cheap stuff, like M&Ms.
I'm just gonna have chocolate for that. I'm just gonna have a Hershey Kisses just for you. I'm
Right.
doing kisses.
And
Mm.
I've learned to add strawberries to it so it can be a bit healthier. And I definitely know that part of my coping was eating, so I don't want to promote that. If I had a guilt,
Chocolate comes from cocoa. What are you saying?
right?
Hey.
It is a vegetable or a fruit.
Hey, come on.
Tree.
I'm just saying.
And my name is Coco, so if I want to be true to myself,
Yeah.
if I want to be authentic, it is vitally important for me to still embrace my name's meaning, chocolate bean.
Yes, come on now. And you see, but when we start talking about the humor, and I'm telling you people, welcome to the Victory Speaks Inspire Conversation series with Coco LaRain Viera. And this is part of just who you are. Before I say my next comment, I'm telling you, Sarah, she can sing the pants off for anybody. Amazing voice, says Sarah Oyango, all the way from Ottawa.
Thank you, Sarah.
And your humor. You did something just now, but some people know it, some people don't. But how has your humor and your acting and your singing, like your mom sings, your whole family sings, your whole family performs. So how is that working for you?
I could not live without comedy. I'm actually a wannabe stand-up comic now, because I think that I relied on humor. It's so powerfully, I'd rather laugh than cry at sometimes, or laugh while I cry. So my family's always been silly. I go back to my mom and my grandma. We would sit in for hours and just crack jokes and sing silly, ridiculous songs. As a way to relieve the stress, because it wasn't easy for my grandmother, who was from Nova Scotia. I'm a seventh generation Canadian. My family's from Nova Scotia.
Come on now, they need to hear this. 7th generation Canadian.
Yeah, we've been here for 7 generations. We were the Black loyalists who fought for the British during the War of Independence, and when the British lost the war, they said they were going to send us back to Africa, and they brought us to Canada instead, and to Nova Scotia. And so my grandmother grew up in Nova Scotia, and with 10 brothers and sisters, and both of her parents passed away. She married my grandfather. They moved to Toronto. They were the only black family in the whole area. And, and he worked on the railroad and things like that. And she got work wherever she could. And life was hard, and we didn't have a lot of money, but it was amazing. And then they had my beautiful mom and my aunt and my uncle, and they still were, again, one of the only black families. My mom had me when she was young, what were we talking about?
Chocolate.
Oh yeah, we're talking about sense of humor. So how we survived all of that?
You said sense of humor, and I said chocolate.
A chocolate sense of humor. Oh, that sounds like something I could write. Have a chocolate sense of humor. So, a night of chocolate comedy.
Now, catch this. We're going to go back to the humor in a second. This is a chocolate break brought to you by Coco and Nicole. My mom's listening in the background, and she slipped me this card that says, "God sends no stress that chocolate and prayer can't handle." She slipped this to me as I'm doing the show. Let me get it in the shot. I'm just saying that was.
Yes, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And you see, it's the humor, the ability to, and that's one of the things that is another part of you. And I don't know if people know that you can do comedy, you can do skits, you write, you sing, you take songs, you can take any. Okay, here's the thing. Okay. If you're listening on the live, pick a word, pick a song, pick something. Coco, just tell me what we can do, and Coco will sing.
So you have to pick at least 3 words, and I'll make a song out of it. And
okay, so here's your opportunity. This is improv on a Inspire Conversation. Pick 3 words, and we're gonna be singing. So I'll look out for you in the comments. If you don't put any comments, we'll figure it out ourselves. So humor is taking you through, your drama is taking you through, your family's taking you through, because no family is perfect, but you guys have built this mechanism And how did that impact even your children growing up? Did that play into your family life and
Yeah, well,
your, your children?
they became just as silly as us, and rely on humor and comedy. When they were little, they create this video called the Vit Show, we call it. The day that my grandma passed away, my brother and my 3 children decided to go outside and create this entire newscast show, and it was all improv. Shemaya was a newscaster called Nancy Gray, and they transformed into all these different characters. And Jordan was their weatherman. Then he was, a funny boy who was trying to. This is how I'm living. That show back in the day. This is how I'm living.
Yeah.
And but his house was the doll house in the backyard, and he had to bend over to get into it. This is how I'm living, yo. This is my house. I got a pink roof. You know what I'm saying? It's plastic. And then Shatea, my youngest. She was she was a rapper, and she was like, yo, little Tay, little Tata, and she was rapping about a car that wasn't hers. And they just, and my brother edited the whole thing. So then by later on that night, we were so distraught that my grandma passed away. And my brother said, we made a video for you guys to watch. And that laughter in that moment was so healing. Because my mother was just so close to we were all close to her, and she just was loving. And that moment when they took all of their little gifts and brilliance and put that in the video and made us laugh, that was healing. So I believe like laughter helps the medicine go down. It's one of the key things.
That spoon, like we used to watch, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
That's right.
So when we talk about transforming pain into power, how do you deal, and how have you dealt with rejection? I know it has probably transformed over the years, but when you feel rejected, or you feel rejected by people or an opportunity, and it's mainly by people, how have you been able to deal with that?
Well, I haven't dealt with it as well as one would think. It's definitely a topic that I kind of stayed away from in my teaching, because I only like to teach things that I've overcome myself, and I focused on self-esteem. When I taught children, though, and I did anti-bullying and things like that, what I would recognize is how to love yourself just as you are, and recognize. Right now, I'm studying a beautiful book. What is it called? I forget what it's called now. The Untethered Soul. And it really talks about that that there's this narrative that goes on in our head all the time, right? And everybody has this movie, so to speak, this, going on in their world, and we're all stars in our own movie. And you could be, and this is how I interpreted the words, you could be a hero in your story and a villain in someone else's.
Wow.
Right? Based on your choices. And I began to look back at the people that that have been hurt by the choices that I've made in my life. And, for me, I may have, decided to make that decision to end that friendship because it was good for me, but it might not have been what that person wanted. And so now, they feel rejected from me, even though it was a healthy thing for me to do. So now I'm starting to realize that everybody has the right to have their perspective. Not has a right, everybody has a different perspective. And I can honor their perspective, but not be obsessed over it, not take it personally, in that it's an indictment. If somebody doesn't agree with me, and I have a whole lot of haters that really don't understand my process and have criticized me for things because they don't necessarily know my side of the story. Right. And that's okay. I recognize that that is normal, and I'm learning how to let that go, and recognize, man, as I said, I might be the villain in the story, even though I'm the hero in my own.
I really like that, being the villain in someone else's story. And it's funny how people can perceive. Your perception is a son of a gun, and you have to learn how to love yourself, so that whether somebody's perception, because somebody's perception could be, or opinion of you could be great today and awful tomorrow. So the most important opinion is you, and I love that. And to me, that even though we speak, because I think we're such a people of progress, and we're always learning. If you're not teachable, well, you're just, well, and so there's always going to be another level to, or another piece to learn on how to deal with rejection and failure. Because as you grow and as you get more exposure to certain things, there's going to be a different type of rejection that one has probably never dealt with before. So I'm so grateful for your transparency. And Sarah is saying honor, truth, and loyalty, and she's loving it. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah tunes in every week.
Oh,
Sarah is my top fan.
that's
And
so wonderful.
I just wish I could hug you all the way in Ottawa. Um, all the way in Ottawa. And Sarah has a show in Ottawa. You got to tune in. She's just phenomenal. And so when we think about you going through this transformation and dealing with your pain, you must have some inspiration. So who and what has inspired you and continues to inspire you?
I think that the first time on the stage when that young girl came up to me after and said, "Thank you for sharing your story." It was knowing that there were other people out there that needed to hear what I had to say. So the audience that I never got to see, but I inspired me when I was creating my website, knowing that I wanted to, call a decision maker to hire me to come in to do a keynote address. So the idea of, my tribe and what they needed, and that helped me with not getting caught up in ego on the stage, because
Right.
I wasn't there solely for myself. There's this beautiful exchange between audience and speaker that can happen when I am not concerned about what they think about me. I am
Right.
concerned about how they're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on inside the hearts and the minds of my audience, and can I say something that's going to impact them, that's going to bring an aha moment, that will lead them down a path, make the path that they're already on towards healing a little bit easier, share little gems and things like that. So that really it was my tribe, the people that I was going to speak to, that inspired me.
So, for those of you listening on the live on the replay, I am speaking with Coco LaRain Viera, and this is Nicole Waldron. Victory Speaks here, and we're talking about pain. We're talking about transforming that pain into power, living your life victoriously. And we're going to go deep. Have your water and stuff ready. Have your notepad if you're just tuning in. And and look at this. Sarah says, big fan and hoping to interview Coco on our show next year.
Oh,
Connecting you to Coco. Yeah, and singing, and you can sing just about anything. So
except reggae. I have such a hard time singing. The flow just does not, it's like it's too jazzy. Jordan used to make these jokes where he was like, you can take any song and turn it into a reggae song or a calypso song. Any reggae artist, they know how to take whatever song, could be jazz,
yeah.
But you can't take a reggae song and turn it into something jazzy. It just does not work. Like, you can't say, I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot. It just doesn't ring true.
It works on a cruise, though. I'm sure if you sang that on a boat cruise, you'd have the whole place lit like fire.
I cannot ruin Bob Marley's legacy by doing that. He was a giant, and we cannot do that to his music. No.
What else is giving back? Why is that important for you?
It's because
giving somebody. Wait, why?
Because it feeds my soul. It was a happy accident, right? When I stand on a stage and I give, and I'm transparent and I'm open and honest, my soul just fills up, right? Give and you shall receive. Again, it's that beautiful exchange. And so I am blessed. I learn from the stage. I grow. I feel I feel appreciated there when I get transparent.
Mm.
I feel a sense of well, it's purpose, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's so rewarding and so fulfilling. Again, when I make it about me and I'm trying to look cute and everything else, it's very flat, which is
right.
why I haven't necessarily pursued a singing career the way that some people say, why aren't you out there singing? There are singers who are so passionate about that, and they get lit up when they sing, and they can bring that enjoyment to everybody's earbuds, right? But for me, where I get that enjoyment is on that motivational speaking stage. But what I do is I bring my music and my comedy and my spoken word poetry and all that to that stage to be engaging and impactful. But there's nothing like sitting in a room with a group of women who have gone through a similar type of traumatic past, and then sharing some secrets that I've learned along the way. Oh, that is just magic.
So then it goes into then why is it so then it's important to transform your pain into power. Why, if you were to break that down a bit, why is it so important to transform that pain that you're feeling, no matter what you're experiencing, into something powerful? And where did that even come from? Because that's one of your programs too.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about, the pain that I've been under, I actually got pretty annoyed. With the idea that I had to carry this pain for the rest of my life. Because if I got into a car accident and this happens to people, and you get your leg chopped off, you have to live with that. Some people take that and go on to be an Olympic, gold medalist, and ski anyway, kind of thing. And I thought, well, the trauma that I've gone through, the pain that I've gone through, how can I turn that into passion and profit and power? And I knew that if I had to live with this past for the rest of my life, not be swallowed up by it, not be held back by it, but if I was going to have it, then I was going to say, wait a second, I got to do something with this pain. I don't want to wallow in it. I don't want to be suffocated by it. I want to transform it into something powerful. Every single tragic thing that I've been through, I'm going to find a way to help someone else who is going through the same thing. And because pain is already powerful, but I wanted it to be a positive power. I wanted it to be like on my willpower. I wanted it to be, so I said, I'm gonna get paid for all of this. I'm gonna turn this into a business. I'm gonna get a book. I'm gonna get speaking engagements out of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's gonna put a roof over our heads and food on the table and shoot, clothes on our back. If I'm going to have this pain, I'm gonna tame the pain. I'm gonna transform the pain, and I'm gonna use the pain for good. And that's what I mean by that. And so, and people do that all the time. They don't realize that artists, when they make a painting off of something that was painful, and they make this art. Artists who sing, how many songs have been written out of a broken heart? That's transforming your pain into power. How many people who, my grandmother passed away when I was young, and so that inspired me to become a nurse so I can make sure that people are taken care of. That's transforming pain into power, right? Taking something, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. That's the perfect picture of pain being transformed into a powerful, it's a force. It can knock you down, or it can propel you forward.
Right. And I love that. And I thank you for sharing that. So before we go to the next question, Sarah says, ooh, here's a nugget. Smooth jazz artist Lee Retner produced an entire Jazz Marley tribute album called A Twist of Marley. So we're going to check that out after the show. 2001.
I'm so happy he could do it. I know I didn't have it in me to do that, so I can't wait to hear that.
Well, you never know. You might get inspired because you're getting creative, doing all sorts of stuff. So when we start talking about pain, what were some of the most painful experiences in your life that you've had to transform?
I would
go back and we can go forward.
Well, I'll start with not recent things, because the most painful thing I'm sure we'll talk about later. But I experienced sexual abuse for a number of years in my childhood. I experienced abandonment when my father left my mom, and a lot of bullying in school. I was one of the only black girls in my school. I think there were two of us. So I remember being called the N-word in kindergarten. And I had a learning disability that I didn't really know about and I couldn't explain because the abuse really took away my voice. It's like I put duct tape over my vocal cords and stole my no. It stole my. It prevented.
Wow, stole your no.
Yeah, that's one of the side. I do in the work that I do. I talk a lot about the side effects that trauma and abuse leaves behind. Right? It's like if you think about abuse like a snake in the garden. Yeah, the abuser left the snake, right? And then the snake was there in the garden, and then it bit you, and then you can look at the wound. But that snake is venomous, and it leaves a poison. And we can talk about who abused you, the person that left the snake in the garden. You can talk about the abuse itself, the snake. You can talk about how it hurt you and the wound and the bite. I like to focus on the poison that was left behind, the side effects, like a lack of willpower and a lack of ability to say no. Because if I said no to my abuser, I was hurt. This when a parent leaves, you feel like, why didn't they stay? It affects your self-esteem. It affects your worth. So you're dealing with unworthiness when that's a side effect. And low self-esteem because you don't have, the things the love that you need from both parents. The bullying at school and it deals with your identity. So then I'm not only am I missing, my father's love, and not only am I being abused, but also I'm not welcome and I don't feel worthy. And so all of these different traumas impacted how I showed up in the world, how I felt. I ended up, with a lot of anxiety and post-traumatic stress and that kind of thing, which are all part of my nervous system always being, on high alert, right? Also that disassociation happens, right? I'm writing a book right now called Hiding in Wallpaper Flowers. And it's where when I was a child and I was going through those things, my imagination would take off into the wallpaper and I would play in the wallpaper flowers and I would see like little animals and flowers and I would create these stories in my head. And that's part of why I'm so creative. But those side effects. And so how do you combat those side effects? Like that's part of taking the pain and transforming it into power is really taking a look at, naming it, and then finding out, okay, so what do I need now to take that poison out, to remove the poison out of my system? How do I repair my sense of self-worth? And how do I recognize my worth and then act like it, right? I have to reprogram the brain, build new synapses, get, new trains of thought, and make them stick. And that can be a long process because the painful experiences that we have cause deep grooves in the mind, right? When we think about those neural pathways. And so a nice thought, "You're so pretty," is not as impactful as abuse. So you have to hear, "You're so pretty, you're so pretty, you're so pretty," or "You're so smart," or "You are kind," or "You are gentle," or "You are precious," or you have to hear that many more times than just that one act of trauma. That's why words of affirmation are important and daily things like that. So did that answer your question? I feel like I went off on a tangent there. I can't hear you.
Because I muted myself so there would be no feedback. Oh. And yes, you did. And if you don't know, guys listening on the live or on the replay, Nicole, Coco LaRain, and I call her Nicole because we're twins like that, but Coco is a life coach. And if you're looking for a coach to help you, transform that pain into power, to help you navigate through any of the trauma you've been through, because sometimes we don't even recognize it's trauma. It's showing up in our lives in other ways, in our relationships not working, in our jobs, in our lack of self-care. The trauma can show up in, not being joyful, not being happy, going to work smiling and then coming home and crying or feeling like you're dying, so it's so important that, you and I have talked about we're leading while bleeding and not healing. You know,
Mhm.
and that's a piece that we have to do a deep dive into, but we're not going to do some. We're going to do some of that. We've been doing some of that right now, but
Yeah.
you have to keep staying in tune with what Coco and myself will be talking about now, and sometimes solo and sometimes together.
Yeah.
And so, I really thank you for that transparency. So we're going deep, and I'm being cognizant of your time. I know I'm taking up your time today, and you're a busy woman, so I'm just so grateful. And for those of you that are tuning in, if you're ever looking to find out about looking for Coco, I'm just gonna just put this up here. You can follow her at Coco LaRain Viera on all social media platforms. And so be sure to follow her, DM her if you have some questions, because we're going in deep. And this is a lot of work. It's about your mental wellness. We do physical fitness, and we need to do mental fitness. We have to do it. So you talked about your abuse, and you mentioned that there was even something more painful that you've been through um, in your season. Um, are you okay with sharing some of that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'll let you lead on this one.
Well, I was going to say you lead because you were
Okay,
there.
I can lead. So
Before I get into that, I just want to say publicly that this woman right here, this Nicole Waldron woman right here, was at my side the entire time. She dropped her life for I don't know how long. We were together. My son Jordan Vera, who is my hero. Was transitioned. I'm very careful with the language that I use because it helps me to not stay in the state of fear. But he passed away June 2019. A lot of people know who Jordan, JV the GOAT is. He was, I say he was Toronto famous, especially in the spoken word poetry community.
mhm.
But he was struggling with asthma, and it was his time. And we spent a lot of years trying to restore him back to health. And but what's beautiful about that was that he got a chance to live so long. I think he put 30 or 40 years into the last 10 years of his life and has created such an amazing legacy. But I didn't see that one coming. Although I was afraid
Right.
I was afraid that he was going to pass away for 3 years, the last 3 years of his life. I was afraid. Because I knew how he was struggling, but he was also quite a miracle because he kept going. He kept
Mhm.
he kept putting on shows and following his passion. And he released an album, his first album, which is the song that you played at the beginning of our show. One of the songs. He finished it 2 days before he went into the hospital and before he transitioned. So that pain.
Mm.
Mm,
And I think
right there.
it's interesting that I got my box of tissue ready. I'm just saying it's interesting that COVID has happened now, right? And you were supposed to be the first guest on this show, but I understand more now why you've been left to the tail end of this year of coming on the show, because I know there are people that are going to listen here, and if you have friends and loved ones who um, in this time of COVID have transitioned, um, they they need to hear some of what Coco has to say. And I'll tell you this: there's power in sisterhood, there's power in brotherhood, there's power in our friendships, and we must sharpen each other. Um, and Jordan and my son were besties, and they look like brothers, you know. And so it's like I feel like we were mother. We have extra. You have another son too, and the interesting thing was, when your sisterhood is strong, so that no matter what, who's got you when trauma happens or trouble happens, who's going to pick up the phone, even if you've had a dispute, even if you were angry the day before, when, excuse my French, when the shit hits the fan, who's going to pick up the phone for you? And that's one of the beauties in our friendship, that, we could have our disagreements, but when it came to, and when it comes to those key things, there is no fight. There is nothing that can separate us. And I hope that you make sure and have that anchor in your life. I remember Coco calling me and the phone rang and we hadn't spoken for a while.
Yeah, we lost touch.
Yeah. And I was like, why is Coco calling me this hour of the morning? But I was between sleep and wake, you know? And I was like, I think the phone is ringing. I'm not sure if the phone is ringing. Am I it's it's one of those surreal moments when you think you're having a dream, and then the phone stopped and it rang again. And I woke up and she's like, Jordan's in the hospital, and everything just turned at that moment. And the journey of you have two girls in Jordan, and watching that the message of your life also transpired in when Jordan was hospitalized, because you saw the crew, you saw everybody just galvanized. People came from near and far, like, what do you need? Who was dropping donuts at the hospital? We had, and that's when your tribe.
Yeah.
We all need to have a tribe as we're going through anything. And
but I have to interrupt you, sweetheart. You were more than a tribe, okay? Because you stopped your life for 7 days. You stayed with me at the hospital. The only time you went home was when I bribed you or something, or I forced you. I pretended I needed you to go home with Shemaya in the car so you could go home and get some sleep. But you were there every single moment. You helped me to plan every single thing I needed to plan. And then you came to the hospital. You were there with me. You slept in a small chair. Anybody who knows me, like, you knew me, and you knew when I needed you. You knew when I needed to sleep. I probably only slept because of you. You and my friend Nicole Waldron and Nicole Waite and my mother.
Yeah, it was a Nicole tribe. It was the Nicole tribe.
And I tell you, between my mom and you and Nicole and my aunt, she drove all the way here from North Carolina. My aunt Erica, and I mean, and of course my daughters were there, and Jordan's father was just dedicated to, but back to you. You were there for the funerals.
Back to me.
You were there for the funerals. We had 2 celebrations. You were there at my side in every one of those. You were there when I cremated Jordan. You were there when I pushed the button. You were there when you were there. You were there. And if anybody knows how to love, it's Nicole Waldron. You were there for me. Like, I cannot thank you more. I don't know how to thank you more for your love and your attention and your devotion and your kindness. We lost touch for a long time. I walked away from my friendship. I had gone through so much trauma with a 3rd divorce, and I was angry at everybody, and I locked myself away, and I didn't talk to anybody for a long time. And I went, and I was just hurting, and it took me a long time to heal. And I know that hurt you because you wanted to be my friend, but I was mad at God. I was mad at you. I was mad at everybody. I was like, you know what, F this. But the moment I called you, you were there. And I just wanted to be honest and open about that. And I hope anybody who is your friend is blessed by God. If he put you in their life, it's because they are precious to our God. You are an amazing, powerful, kind, behind the scenes. It takes a warrior to be behind the scenes when you can be on the stage too. When you have the capacity to be on the stage and be on the stage better than those that you are behind the scenes with. So, I just want to just love on you and thank you and give you the encouragement. That's why I was so confident to say, yeah, This woman here knows how to speak victory into people's lives. I am living proof. I would not have been able to get through the worst time in my life if you weren't one of those people by my side. And you continue to be by my side. You continue to encourage me. You've continued to see me through the last year and a half. And so I love you.
Love you too. Thank you. You made me cry. And Sarah's like, what a beautiful friendship. Very, very moving. We should all be so fortunate as to have such a true and steadfast friends. And yeah, I am blessed. I am blessed, and I'm blessed by this woman. She is the iron sharpener in my life. She's a rock. And my friends really just take up like my there's that circle and there's that the circle. She's in that fist. They put up this fist for Black Lives Matter, but Black friendships matter.
Who else like that?
We're making a T-shirt. This is coined by Coco and Nicole. Black
friends matter.
Black friends matter. We're gonna make that T-shirt. It's gonna be sold on Shopify. You can check it out in the new year.
Black girlfriends matter.
Black girlfriends matter. Oh yeah, okay. The shirt, we are selling it on Shopify. Come next year. You see how this is how we roll. I'm just telling you.
Pain into power, baby girl. Pain into power and pain into profit. Okay.
Woo, come on now, and and this is the thing. It's the transforming the pain into power. It's recognizing when your friend is in pain and respecting their space and respecting their love. And Coco went through like the most painful part, and still she keeps pressing on and pushing on and giving back. And I remember one of the things that we did as we are, Sarah's like, Black friendships matter. I'm putting in my order now. Hey, listen, if you know Coco and I, after the show tonight, we're going to be designing the shirt. I'm just saying, because she is a creator. And one of the things we did, and this is where you have to be so, intentional. It was, Coco did an interview at CBC with Matt Galloway. But the week after, we had the celebration of Jordan's life, and Matt did such a beautiful interview with you. And we were going, and we was like, okay, we need to go get breakfast. And Nicole picked out this little not dumping at a restaurant, but it's this beautiful restaurant was close to CBC, and it's like, but the Ritz is right there. We ain't got no set of money, but I said, I have had clients and we've gone to the Ritz for breakfast, and the Ritz have a good breakfast, and we need to do something special. And I remember us going into the little restaurant, and she sat down, she goes, you know what? I don't feel the vibe. And we went to the Ritz and had breakfast. And even in that moment, there was something that's significant that happened and I'll let you share that part of the story, because it was hard for you. And why was it hard for you?
Yeah, so that's a long question, a difficult question to answer, but it might be a little bit long. My answer might be a little bit long, but I want to see you, Nicole. For some reason, I can't see you sometimes when I'm talking. It helps me.
So sometimes I put you on solo so you can just be the.
No, I need to see your face.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. So. You give me strength. So part of my resistance to going to the Ritz was because I didn't feel worthy. One of the side effects of losing a child, unfortunately, as a mom, is we blame ourselves. We have this very overwhelming sense of, I should have saved him. And so in that moment, I felt like, well, I don't deserve the Ritz. But then I was sitting there in that little restaurant that would have been lovely. It would have had, great. I probably would have had French toast or whatever. I heard my son's voice. He said, Mama, go to the Ritz. That's what I heard. I said, go to the Ritz. And then a thought hit me, morning in beautiful places.
Yep.
I was holding your hand. We were sitting at the Ritz. It was lovely. And eating beautiful food. And I started to cry because I guess I could say for the first year, I cried every day. And so that was... I couldn't control the tears, and you held my hand, and we sat there in the Ritz and we cried, and then we kept eating our breakfast, and it was like, wow. I believe that it's very important to stimulate all of the senses when we're in mourning or when we're in tragedy or when we're in pain, your sense of smell, touch, taste, hearing, sight. And in that space, every one of my senses was being stimulated. The beautiful carpets, from the beautiful carpet to the chandeliers, to the taste of the food, to the music that was playing in the background. The waiter brought us some fancy breakfast dessert because he saw that we were crying, and he said, "This is on the house, I think." And I realized that there was this power, sometimes of mourning in beautiful places. And sometimes we hide away and we cover ourselves up in a blanket and we don't come out. And there were times when I did that, and that was important.
Yes.
But I'm realizing that we need to give ourselves permission to do the work of mourning in a beautiful, sacred, loving, wonderful space where, and the importance of that is because my nervous system was more relaxed, because my senses were being stimulated in a beautiful way as the pain came, right? And that has become a huge practice for me, a healing practice, to self-soothe. Right. And that was the power of that moment. And so when I heard my son say, "Mom, go to the Ritz," it was like saying, "Mommy, of course you're worthy to go to the Ritz. Go." And so I thank you for that. That was a beautiful moment. And that gave birth to the tagline in my Grieving with Grace program that I'm in the process of developing and sharing.
Yeah, because, it's the guilt. Because whenever we go through something traumatic as that, whether your loved one's in hospital, if you have a loved one, or especially a child, or a spouse or sister with, or a brother with some sort of terminal illness, or sometimes it could be a chronic illness, or even a transition, the guilt of being happy. Sometimes we feel guilty, feeling joy. We feel guilty. It's that place that we want to stay in, that sadness. And it's okay to be sad, but it's not okay to stay in the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And I had to really, I wrestled with that for the year, because I didn't ever want to be happy again. I remember driving down the street and seeing this fancy house that Jordan and I used to drive. And I was so angry. Like, I don't want to have a nice house if I can't have it with Jordan. I don't want to have a nice day if I can't have it with Jordan. I don't want to eat McDonald's if I can't eat it with Jordan. I don't want to breathe if I can't, it was just so overwhelming. But then I realized that, this world is not the be all and end all of our existence. I started to really question, what am I doing here on this planet? If I had to be this struggling teenage mother who sacrificed everything to have my kids, and then at the end of the day, when we're finally getting to the good part, which is the title of my son's album, then I lose him. What's the point of that? What's the point of anything, And so I was willing to ask those hard questions. And when I asked them with my whole heart, I did find the answers. And I realized that there's life after life, that energy never dies, that I'd rather miss him than see him suffer one more day.
Yeah.
I'd rather miss him for the rest of my life than see him suffer. And so it was really kind of attuning my mind and my heart to very profound truths that take me out of the toxic grief. And I think there's a difference between grieving and toxic grief. Toxic grief of self-blame, of hopelessness, of how comes and should haves and would haves, and he died too young. What if it was just his time?
Come on now. Yeah.
What if this was meant to be, and I am the conduit, I am the vessel that was used to bring this miracle into the world, and he was only supposed to be here for 26 years.
Right.
Now, do I like that? I'm pissed about it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's easier for me to accept that truth and to tap into meaning therapy, where the meaning of it, where I apply so much meaning to his transition, and to the legacy that he's left behind, and to my purpose moving forward, so that I can say at the top of this conversation, I'm doing great.
That is so key, and I thank you for sharing that, because that is transparency, and that's the vulnerability. I hope somebody is blessed by this, but it's on the live, on the replay, because everybody has their own process of grieving and mourning, And it takes years when you lose a loved one to go through the process. And one of the other things that you did too is that you are not because I guess I don't know if it's because you're a life coach, but even when a life coach, you could also, you know, get an ego, but you've been seeking the counseling.
Yeah, I had to hire a coach to help me with my mindset because, you know, yeah, I had reached my limit, right? And so it took me a while to find the right one, but shout out to Jamone. Oh my goodness, he just is phenomenal. You know, and if it wasn't for my coach, if it wasn't for the times that you and I mean, you've been my coach sometimes too, right? Where I call you and I tell on myself. Right. I am having this negative feeling, or I'm having these negative thoughts. Help me through this. Do you think I am thinking the right things? And then you go into your whole motivational mode. You're like, and she's so, you get so feisty with it. What? Listen, let me tell you.
Pop it down.
You even get it out. And you just go into this little Trini like, girl, and then you get, you know, give me the truth. So yeah, so it's very important. I definitely believe in counseling. And if I'm asking people to trust me to be their coach, I better have a coach myself.
You got to do the work. You know,
because I can't operate on my own brain.
Come on now. You can't operate on your own brain. We got to put that out there.
No, you can't operate on your own brain. And you also, if I was a brain surgeon and my husband, or if I had one, or my children came into the room, if my husband or my children came into the room, came into the hospital, I would not be allowed to operate on them either. So not only do we need help for ourselves, but sometimes we need an expert to come in and help us with our kids and help us with our spouse because we are too close, right? And we wonder, well, because for a long time I was having imposter syndrome, like, well, how? And I almost quit the motivational speaking business altogether after Jordan, because I was like, if I can save Jordan, like I always thought, if my kids aren't okay, then I shouldn't be on a stage. I'm an imposter if home is a mess.
Yeah.
But I learned that that I need help with home, and I can still function. I don't touch things that I haven't overcome, which is why I stayed in the youth market for a long time. Right. I didn't feel ready to address some of the issues until I overcame them. Like a couple of years ago, I'm not going to talk to people about marriage.
Right.
Out of my wheelhouse.
Not your lane.
I can talk to you about divorce. I can talk to you about what not to do. I can talk to you about dating. You know what I'm saying? I got you all day online dating 101. You know what I'm saying? Right. But so I don't touch something that I haven't perfected, and that's why I'm taking my time with Grieving with Grace and things like that. But yeah, I realized that I needed a lot of help, and that's good.
Yeah, it is good, and that's you got to be humble in order to get the help. You got to be teachable in life. You got to be teachable till the day you die. You better be teachable. You better be humble. Otherwise, you're just on a whole different trajectory of not being victorious.
Yeah, it is hard when I know so much to be open to not knowing. But when you get into a counseling situation, you have to be aware that you might not know what you don't know. Right. And so I've been studying this stuff for years, the art of, forgiving and personal development. I made a career out of it, almost 30 years. But there's still things I don't know. And so when I speak to my coach, I literally have to put off my motivational speaking hat,
right,
my know a lot hat, and I literally have to transform myself or allow that part of me, that vulnerable part of me to be open and ready. And it's not easy to do that. And sometimes I feel like, well, I must sound amateur here, and my pride gets in the way. And I'm like, no, I need to do the work. I can be both and. Yeah. I can be a subject matter expert and a client of a coach, a patient at the exact same time.
Yep. And sorry to cut you there, because you know what is interesting, and you speak such a truth there. I don't know if people realize that therapists have to go through therapy. Therapists cannot just, like, if you are a certified, you have to go through the program. You need a therapist. Come on now. And as I said, your doctor cannot operate on your own brain. When So going through this, and you speak to what, I thank you for your kind words to me. You make it easy to love. So I'm just saying, um, but anyone out there who has, especially now that we're going through COVID and there's so many deaths happening, and there's a lot of transitioning happening. People are not able to even say goodbye to their loved ones. You know, and my brain goes in two places: valuing the time that you have with your loved one, as well as how do you support a person who is grieving, who is in trauma. Whether the trauma is through grieving, whether the trauma is through something like, as you mentioned before, you've been through sexual abuse.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to those who are the supporters, are the tribe, are the village, the friends and family? What's some of the best ways you can give in terms of support advice?
You need to answer that question. You were the one who did it.
You received it, so because you would tell me things that I sometimes I mean sometimes it's the listening. You said some things to me, and so if you were to reflect,
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I get what you're saying. So
thank you.
allow the person to be angry. I was short with you at times. You got on my nerves. It wasn't you that was on my nerves. My nerves were shot because I was in pain.
Yep.
You didn't take anything that I said in those moments personally. You gave me a pass. You asked me questions, and if I said, "Don't ask me any questions," you didn't be like, "Well, who are you to talk to me that way?" You just said, "Okay, babe, all right, I'm not gonna answer. I'm not." And so, because recognizing that anger is the response to wrong, but also anger is a response to pain. And you could tell that I wasn't angry at you. I just did not have the capacity to say, "Oh no, thank you. I don't really want anything to eat." You're like, "You want something to eat?" "No, I don't want anything," And so when you are supporting someone, recognizing the intention, recognizing where they are, asking, paying attention to what is it that they need. Because that kind of pain can bring out the worst in someone, again, because their nerves are shot, because their hearts are broken, because their minds are a total wreck. Also, current trauma can bring up past trauma.
Ooh.
Right? So the traumatized part of my brain that was still there was reignited by the new trauma that happened. I don't know if there's just this one corner of the area of your brain that's like that every time something bad happens, it just gets dumped into that little corner, somewhere in the basement behind the fridge that doesn't work anymore.
Right.
But it ripped open for a season all the previous traumas that I went through. And I began to have these nightmares, and I began to, and I don't know that people always articulate what they go through when they are experiencing trauma, like a loved one passing.
Right.
And maybe I'm so aware of it because I've studied it for so long.
Yeah.
So I would say to people who want to be there, you really got to be able to have that patience and give that person love regardless of how they respond. Now, I'm not saying put up with abuse. That's not what I'm talking about here. But
it's loving unconditionally. It's really loving. To me, it's when you really practice, how can you love without condition?
Yeah.
Without judgment.
Yeah.
And what would you want, and what would you need?
Yeah.
And patience. It requires patience.
Yeah, you are an incredibly patient woman. I know that for sure. And your patience, I think you're more patient than I am. I'm like, how does she do this? It's your gift, patience and kindness, and just being that loving friend. You really have the gift of friendship. I can't describe it. So I think you could teach people whatever you got. You need to bottle it and sell it, because it really is powerful. I haven't met too many people in my life that have that gift that you have, and people took it. We don't have to go there. I was like, people can take advantage.
It's trauma. Come on, go there.
People can take advantage of someone like that has that gift, because you're so willing. You're so willing to jump up and help, and so on and so forth. And then they, and it frustrates me when I see that. So the people with that beautiful, kind spirit are taken advantage of, and But
And
yeah,
it's traumatic because that too becomes, that's what people don't even realize. Trauma shows up in different way when people take advantage of your kindness and the trauma of it and having to get over it and having to get back up again. Because even like, you know, doing this podcast was, you know, traumatic because of past experiences and past rejections and past, you know, whatever's that have happened, you know.
yeah,
But patience also came through that, and patience also came through even dealing with other things in my life, and personal things in my life, and being patient with myself. And you've taught me about self-care and self-compassion,
that's
you
right.
know, and not being offended. I mean, the day I said, I remember hearing a speaker say, he lived without offense. I was like, huh? And then I don't know if I was bold enough, stupid enough, I don't know. And I said, I want to learn to live without offense. Be careful what you ask.
Yeah, because then you guys, okay, well, let's see how if you get this offense, how are you gonna take it? I
Yeah.
don't pray those kind of prayers anymore. I'm like, I'm good, but yeah, I'm great. Where I is, I don't, it's like, oh, well, teach me how to love people. Nope, nope, nope. I love people the way they is. Don't teach me nothing. I don't really learn nothing anymore. I'm good. I'm right. I'm okay the way I is. Thank you. Amen. How are you doing, God? How are you? Are you all right? We good?
You know what I'm saying? And
Do you need
that's
anything?
the truth.
You want anything? I don't pray for that. It's like, oh, teach me how to be at peace. And then you invite war into your house. I'm good. I don't pray those prayers in hands for nothing. Hi, God. How you doing? What's up? You want some coffee? You good?
You know,
That's
it's funny. This morning I was reading Faith Without Works is Dead. And so it hit me. And I got a revelation of the understanding. You know, people like to really talking about, well, you know, you say you're going to do this, so you got to do that. And people forget what he is saying is, what is your faith? Are you saying you're going to love? So you got to walk that out. That's what faith without works is dead. Joy. Are you going to be joy? Are you going to be not offended? Are you going to say, you know what, forgive them for they know not what they do? Can you walk that out? That's faith without works, because it's great to say I love you, Nicole, but when Nicole does something that offends me, or you know, it's easy for me to change my trajectory, I'm not able to stand in the truth of who I am. I lose my kindness and I lose my patience. And I'm not saying that I'm totally patient, but that's part of the trauma journey, and transforming that pain that can show up as depression, can show up as not being able to finish. It can show up as, you know, not being able to just be, you
yeah,
know,
be
it can
yourself.
come from your finances,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
And so that is such a powerful thing. And the fact that you're willing to be so transparent, Coco, I am so appreciative. And I hope those that are listening on the live and the replay, um, I am here with the beautiful Coco LaRain Viera. And if you want to know more about her, you got to follow her on her Instagram and on her Twitter and on her LinkedIn and on her, do you have YouTube now too?
I do have a YouTube channel. I forget to update it with stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that. So we're going to be updating our YouTubes in the new year. That's going to be one of our goals. So 2021, our YouTubes are going to be up and running. And if you have questions and you want to know more about, you know, how to transform your pain into power, you're looking for a life coach, I'm telling you, Coco is your lady, is your friend. She's the person you need to get in contact with. If you're grieving and you know somebody who's going through that process, who's lost a child, different people use different languages. We use transition. Both Nicole and I, and Coco, and I have to say Coco because I call her Nicole because that's my name for her, because we're Nicole and Nicole. She's a Nicole with two L's. I'm the Nicole with one L, and together we are just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. But she is Coco to you, so get it right. She's only Nicole to me. Okay, so don't get in our business. You know, it's don't get in our business, none of your business. You all right? And so it is important for you to just come on in, be transparent. If you're grieving, you know, someone who's grieving, who needs that honest conversation. If you want us to host, you know, we're willing to host some private Zoom calls, because, you know, we're not seeing each other in person. So we're going to do it's not going to always be free. I'm just letting you know. But we're willing to we're looking at doing some of that in possibly the new year, bringing some who are going through the challenge and processing. So Coco, is there anything else you want to share before we wind down and we go do the next part of our lives tonight?
Yeah, I would say thank you again for your love and your kindness, and to remind people that we thrive by design, and we want to be able to find our bliss.
Mm,
You know, and that means taking the time to relax that nervous system and
mhm,
self-soothe and value you, so you can give people the best of you,
mhm,
and not what's left of you or just the rest of you.
mm,
Uh, that when we tap into purpose, that feeds our soul. And so I wish, if I could have a wish or a prayer or a dream for people watching right now, it would be that you would find a way to love yourselves a little more,
mm.
to be kind to yourself, and gentle with yourself, um, and protect your peace.
Ooh, protect your peace.
Learn to thrive, to grow from all the challenges. People think of the word thrive and they think, oh, it's being the life of the party or being happy. Thrive means to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lotus flower growing in the muddy waters, right? Um, so that's a process. We talked a lot about the butterfly today, and grieving, and transferring meaning to power. Ultimately, every single person is worthy and precious and deserves, again, that little bit more of
Yes.
love and gentleness, so that you have the strength to give that away.
Amen. I love that. I love that. Um, and anyone you want to say thank you to, give a shout out to before we go, because I know you
Oh,
got
shout out to my children, of course. Shamaya, DJ Aphrodite. She's doing amazing work and she's singing now, which is really exciting. So
awesome.
shout out to my youngest, Shantea, who does. Oh, if you go to her Instagram page, Pretty Balance, and see her doing some beautiful yoga, man, she has got the most beautiful voice and gentle way, and she's got a private practice now that she's worked really hard on becoming
Awesome.
certified. And so my children, and then of course, listen to my son JV's album, The Good Part. I promised him that I would help him promote his music. He gets to be pain free and a recording artist.
Amen.
And so, yeah, we're excited about that. So yeah, my babies, my newest daughter, Louisiana, I call her, but her name is Lou. She's a writer. And I just want to give a shout out to her. It's her birthday today, my precious.
What? Okay, we gotta connect.
Yeah, she was Jordan's gift to me. She was
Yeah.
Jordan's gift to me because she was very close to Jordan and loved on him and was there for him. And so I love Lou. I love you, Lou, if you ever get a chance to watch this. I have a beautiful family. My beautiful grandchildren, Maya and Kofi. So yeah, I am blessed. I am really, really very, very blessed.
And is there a favorite quote? Do you have any quotes that you like, or?
Oh, my favorite quote.
I know I'm pulling it out of you tonight.
On the spot. I have to go on my Instagram page to see what my quote is, but I think it has to do with my grandbabies. I wonder if I could find it. So I don't know if I can find it at this point. I'm trying to. I can't even get to my Instagram page now. Oh Lord! But I think it was a penthe was the word I used. A penthe, which means this kind of joy that takes the pain away. When I hold my grandchildren, who they live with me right now with my daughter. When I hold them and care for them, they are the most precious thing, little beings on the planet, and they are healing my heart. They are literally little healing miracles that help me to realize, yeah, I'm not done yet on this planet.
Amen to that.
So yeah. That word, finding the joy to ease the pain.
Yeah. You know, I found one.
Okay, find the joy in the peace that eases the pain um, in the arms of the ones you love.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
When they're like little tiny arms with little tiny fingers, and yeah.
And I'm going to give you another shout out because if you're looking for someone to do some training, because Coco not just only does life coaching, she does training, she does corporate training, she does, private training. So if you're looking for a speaker, if you're looking for someone who can take you to the next level, Coco is your lady. And if you're also looking for someone to sing, MC, and host, she is also good at that. And you know what? It's Christmas. Maybe I don't know if you're listening, and if you're on the live and the replay, well. I think I'm just having an idea here. We need to think about it, see if we can find some time. But I think we need a little sing along. We need to get like a little Keisha Winter or somebody, and we need to bring some tunes in before the year is out and just do a live one singing, some acapella singing, and bring you guys in the room. That might be just really nice. Do you before I play Jordan's song? Do you have a song you want to sing us out with? And let's toast to Christmas to the people.
Got my water.
Got your water. I got my sorrel. Sip here.
What would I sing now? You always put me on the spot, sweetheart.
You're always so good at singing. And I just love your voice. And if you've never heard Coco sing, well, hey, I'm telling you, you're losing out. You got to go check her out.
Well, there's a reason why I have to drink ice water all the time in the middle of the winter. It's because I'm going through it. Should I sing that silly song? we don't have time for that one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we need a little Christmassy song as we go out into Christmas.
Okay, so all I can think of is the weather outside is frightful. And I don't even know the words. Love is so delightful.
The fire is so delightful.
Fire is so delightful. Have you got no place to go? Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. That's really not the most prettiest Christmas song.
I like it because you know what? We may have a white Christmas. That'll be beautiful. Everybody will be inside, COVID, and maybe they'll wear their mask or not go outside.
It's the weather outside is frightful. That wasn't the greatest one. You can't put me on the spot like this. I'm an artist, darling, and I need time to prepare. I need to have my set list, darling. You can't just throw out a request like that, love. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, we'll end with something fun like Misty. Look at me.
Look at me. I'm as soaking as a kitten up a stream. This is the Misty Menopause song. I feel like clinging to a towel. I don't understand. I get misty. Just holding your hand, walk away. And 1,000 beads of sweat begin to play. Yes, menopause is on the way. From what I hear, I'll get misty for the next 10 years. Can you leave the air conditioning on? What the hell am I supposed to do? Can't you see how hopelessly hot I am just sitting here with you on my own as I wander through these hot flashes alone? Never knowing what to wear or how to dress, I am a hot mess. I get misty and too hot to love. I get misty and too hot to love. Don't touch me.
Don't touch me. This is Transforming Pain into Power with Coco LaRain Viera, and I'm your host, Nicole Waldron. If you want to find Coco, you got to find her at Coco LaRain Viera on Instagram and on Twitter. That was good. I feel we need to go for it to Instagram and do a little quick something. And you can find me, Victory Speaks, at Victory Speaks on Twitter, on Victory Speaks 7 on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And thank you for tuning in. We are going to treat you to a little bit of music. I should have had a picture. We're going to listen to a song here as we go out. It's about the good part. We hope that you have a great Christmas with your family, with your loved ones. We know it's cold outside. We know it's COVID outside. We know, the weather outside could be so, my aunt is listening from Trinidad. She says, lovely.
Oh, thank you, Auntie.
And so we want you to be safe. We want you to be healthy, and try your best to stay inside, and so we can get through this
And recognize that when you make the sacrifice to even spend Christmas alone, that you are protecting people, that you're protecting your parents, you're protecting your family. You are doing the tough job to,
Yeah.
this is a beautiful thing that we make the sacrifices that we're making right now to keep each other safe. I love my mom, but I'm like, no, Mom, I love you. Let's zoom it out. I'm going to reject the Zoom fatigue. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to be Zoom fatigued because it's my job to protect her and keep her safe. And I do that without apology. So
you gotta get zoomed in. Forget about being zoomed out. I think people have to transition. You see, this is why we need to go onto Instagram, because I think we just have.
No, let's cut it here. Let's cut it here.
Zoom in. If you're gonna zoom in, and we're gonna roll out with a little bit of this. Hopefully you can hear it. Hopefully my phone is gonna go up loud enough. I needed my speakers.
Yes.
And you can sing with him too, baby. Now.
I just want to make a man. I just want to swim on it. I just want to get real and find my jail. I just want to get my body off these fucking. I just want to tell you the truth. Can I keep it real? This is for everybody out in front of you. Don't you ever get nobody.
Coco Sun, y'all.
Make it happen.
For yourself, you got the will.
I just want to tight girl. We live in these crazy times. Fight. No matter what happens, baby, I'ma be right here. I just wanna tell the boys, get up off the block. I got a good plan, I'ma give it all I got. Wanna be a good man and a good boss. Greatness is hard to find, so I like some good cops. Got big dreams, some brown eyes, and a good heart. Had a rough past, but it was still a good start. Hey, life's been hard, but it's a good heart. And I can't quit now, cause it's a good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part. I want a big white yacht. I want a nice spot. I don't want to kill my block. You'll make it real. Yeah, it's a feeling right now. Call up the boy with the deal right now. I just want to kick it with my homies. Really friends, just want to show me. Boy, JV. Very late. I'm a vision, yo. It's a mission. I'm a vision, yo. I'm here to spread a message of love to the people. Big dreams, some brown eyes, and a good heart. Had a rough past, but it was still a good start. Hey, life's been hard, but it's a good heart. And I can't quit now, cause it's a good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part. The good part, it's about to be the good part.
We dedicate this show to Davey. We are in the good part, baby. And we want to say to you today, triumph over your pain. Find the victory.
Life's been hard, it's a good part. And I can't quit now, cause it's a good part. Good part, yeah. About to be the good part. Good part, it's about to be the good part. It's about to be the good part. Good part, it's about to be the good part. First of all, I want to say thanks for listening. This is the good part. I made this to say no matter how bad it gets, we gotta give thanks and keep it alive. This one is for Toronto. We the champions, baby.
Yeah.
I want to thank my team, Chilo, Ricky, Fizzo, Kelly, Ben. I want to thank my homies, Jermaine and David, for always being there for me. I want to thank Mira and Johnny. Oh, you guys are so amazing. Evan, the sax. Oh, Pops. Thank you for always pushing me. To my sisters, Alyssa, Leslin, Shemaya, Chantel, I love you. Thank you. My niece, my nephew, Kofi, Maya, you are the future. This is all for you. And of course, I want to thank my beautiful mom, Coco. You're my inspiration. Next time.
We love you all. Thank you for tuning in. You're about to go into the good part. Be brave. Be brave. Live a victorious life and speak victory to yourself and speak victory to someone today, even if it's with a smile, even if you're hugging them while crying, even if you're supporting them. Find a way to be victorious in your life today. We love you. Coco and Nicole, speaking victory. We're out.